Hi, my name is Coby Ma. I'm an MBA fellow at the Center for Digital Strategy. Today, I'm here with David Doggett from Schneider Electric. He is the Senior Director for Cybersecurity and Infrastructure. Hi, David. Thank you so much for coming to the Tech School. And since we are talking about hyperconnectivity here today, can you please let us know what's your definition of hyperconnectivity in terms of the industrial space?
What we would define hyperconnectivity and the Internet of Things as is really an evolution. So some people talk about it as a revolution, but for us it's really an evolution. We've been connecting sensors, we've been connecting devices, we've been working with open standards to provide access in the past, but what we see it now is a massive acceleration. And we can talk later a little bit about some of the reasons for that acceleration, some of the costs that are coming down, some of the expansion in the needs, the acceleration of change and the requirements for flexibility. And some of that's driving, along with some of the features that are becoming available from the IoT, a real acceleration in connected devices. And on top of that, the services that are available on those connected devices. So as I was saying, we see it as an evolution. It's something we've been doing for many years, but this is going to be a step change above where we have been. But we do feel that we've got a good background in this from what we've been doing. We have a fairly large install base in the number of devices we have installed in the field, and we have a lot of experience which positions us very well to go to the next step with our customers in taking advantage, not just deploying IoT and hyperconnectivity, but taking advantage of it to improve their business efficiency, to improve their safety and their security.
Mm-hmm. Sure. It seems like you are very optimistic about hyperconnectivity and the Internet of Things, but can you elaborate more on what sort of value it can create for companies in the industry space?
Yep, sure. So yeah, we are very optimistic about it. As with anything new, there's risks, there's things to be taken into account, but overall we're very optimistic that it can bring some benefits. On a purely product perspective, we're seeing many more products out there that are going to be connected. So it's a step advance in the products that are supplied into the field. It also, though, gives our customers a chance to take advantage of a lot of the data that they've been collecting, but maybe not using in the optimization sense. So they've been using a lot of data to control their plants, but they haven't been using a lot of data to run their plants, and an increase in the levels of access. So they've had access for their maintenance people, but not maybe access for vendors, for optimization companies from offsite. And so what we see is some of the value that's coming is to use that data to really optimize how the plants run. So you have optimization in terms of performance, you have optimization in terms of energy efficiency and energy savings, but you have also optimization in terms of how you maintain and run the plant. So now, for example, you would have a problem at your site with a variable speed drive, a pumping system. You would perhaps want to have one of your technicians look at it, and then you might call up a remote technician, call them out to site. It may be an OEM, there could be a several days delay. It's not just about optimizing the performance, but optimizing the service. We can have a person connected to that pump within hours, maybe even minutes, that can actually help with the diagnostics, and they have experience in the product and specialization in the application. So the other added value that we see coming from the Internet of Things and hyperconnectivity is, for example, a different business model where an OEM can start charging for the production of a machine rather than just selling the machine itself. So with the ability to connect to the machine, the OEM is going to be able to monitor the machine's performance. He can give a service level agreement on that machine's performance. He can charge based on that service level agreement, and if needed, using some of the newer technologies like virtualization, he can even push down new features to that machine to adapt what the machine's doing to improve the performance. Similarly for the end user, if they need to move that machine into a new role, it's potential that the OEM can add functionality to the machine remotely to adapt it for the new role. Even for a short term, if it's not optimized, it can still perform a new role in the short term. So it's a different model of buying a machine and having that machine do the same purpose for 10, 20 years to adapting the machine and charging for the machine's performance.
So awesome. It seems to be that IoT can even enable a different business model.
Yep.
So now we know that that actually can create a lot of value, but at the same time, that actually can create a lot of vulnerabilities as well. Can you please elaborate on what sort of vulnerabilities we are talking about here, and what are the implications for those vulnerabilities?
Yeah. So it's unquestionable that there is going to be an increase in cybersecurity risks through IoT. What it's really about is balancing the increase in the vulnerabilities and the increase in risk from the vulnerabilities with the greater business value that we can realize. And so can we adapt the system to mitigate the risks or reduce the risk to an acceptable level that getting the business value from it is worthwhile? So to look at some of the new vulnerabilities, a lot of them are around adding more devices that are connected. That increases your exposure or your attack surface. The other one, opening it up to remote services, definitely increases the exposure, but it can be done in controlled ways. So, and the final one is the increase of interest. So as people are becoming more interested in the industrial Internet of Things and industrial hyperconnectivity, the focus on the industrial sector is increasing. People are realizing what these systems control and potentially what the risks of those systems are. So with that focus comes two things. It comes an awareness, which allows us to secure the systems in the way that they need to be secured. It also increases the number of people looking at them though, which accelerates the risk of people getting into them, which accelerates the speed that we need to be securing them.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you mentioned that the interest has been growing recently. Yeah. So let's say 5 years ago or 10 years ago, when I think about cybersecurity, I think about antivirus softwares on my computer. All of a sudden, there's cybersecurity in industrial space. Why do you think the fast-growing industries are just happening now? Do you think if there are business opportunities within this sector?
Yeah. So let's just go back for a second to the different risks. And so you have the different types of people or different groups that would be interested in the industrial control sector. So as you said, you used to think about antivirus, and antivirus is still a concern for the industrial control systems. But really, most of the antivirus is against accidental problems. So it's a virus that comes in, it comes normally from the IT world or imported from the OT world, and it causes a disturbance or a problem on the system. Now, it may stop the system from running, but generally it's not directed at the industrial control system. What we're seeing on top of that, though, is some directed attacks that are being put together deliberately to attack the industrial control system. And that's where we're much more concerned. So are those attacks coming from casual people that are trying things out, which you see quite often, probes? Are they coming from groups that are starting to build dedicated systems to try and attack and cause problems in the industrial control system? Yes. Are they potentially coming at the nation level as well? Yes. And so there's different players in the attacking side, and so there probably needs to be some different players in the defending side as well. So there's a lot of different business opportunities moving on to security. So there's business opportunities, and the most obvious, quickest one would be around security services, advising customers on what to do to secure their industrial control systems. And you have to have the right people to do that. So you have IT departments that are very specialized and very knowledgeable in securing the IT world. But you have your OT people that are very specialized and knowledgeable in operating the plant, but not so much in security. And so there's an opportunity there for somebody that understands security, can bring the IT people in, explain to them what needs to be done and how the system will fit into their larger IT system, but also take into account the needs of the OT and the plant environment. So there's a very good business model or business opportunity around security services. Following that, you can start to look at products for security. So all the products are going to have to take a step forward in their level of security. And so there's a small business opportunity there to differentiate between products that don't have security and products that do. But what we expect is very soon it's going to become the norm that you have to have secured products. So you have services, you have a limited opportunity around products. If you move on to what other opportunities there are, there's really an opportunity around dedicated security products. So an important thing in the OT world is to be able to secure the system and operate it without a lot of hassle, without a lot of expertise. And so taking what's available in the IT world, taking that technology, those ideas, and adapting it to the OT world, or taking things that are growing out of the pure OT world and applying new security products, new security services, solutions, is a really decent opportunity that people are looking at now. And you'll actually see in the industrial space, there's a lot of OT security companies popping up, and there's a lot of consolidation where those companies are getting purchased. And so there's a consolidation to certain players.
Let's say for the industrial space, there were a few giants that has been in the industry for a very long time. They occupy a very significant amount of market share. What about the security space? Do you think those giants will be continuing to actually occupy those space, or do you think there will be more newcomers in this industry?
So on the security front, the big industrial giants are not going away. They still have the expertise, they still have the products, the systems, the solutions to run industrial facilities. And that's the strength. I come from Schneider, that's one of our strengths. We need to fit into the security space, and we need to facilitate the security to run our systems. Now, there's going to be a lot of smaller players popping up that specialise, like I said, in industrial security, and there's going to be a lot of pressure from the IT players and the defence industry and other people coming into this new market, which is industrial security. What I see happening, and if you look at some of the reports like the ARC reports, the IT sector is taking a reasonable chunk of the available market, but there's still a fairly large chunk, over 50%, which is taken by OT specialist groups. And so we see definitely a place for the big industrial players in helping our customers secure our plants. And that may be bringing products of our own, it may be partnering with the smaller companies, and it may be partnering with the large companies. Schneider has a very strong partnership with, for example, Cisco in part of securing some of our plants. On the other side, we work directly with some customers in the smaller plants, and we work with some smaller suppliers where the customers are comfortable with those. So mix, I think you'll see a lot of small companies coming up and being consolidated as their expertise is recognised and they get bought by larger companies. You'll have your big industrial players still securing the systems that they're providing. And if we go away from security, if we go back to optimization and hyperconnectivity, they're also going to be doing a lot around optimizing the plant, optimizing the way the plant is run and maintained. And then you have your IT groups coming in, which are going to coming down from the top. There's a lot of good things coming from the IT side, and there's a lot of things that we can take advantage of. We just need to be working with the right IT groups and helping to facilitate them understand the OT world and work in the OT world as opposed to causing disturbances or problems in it.
Sure. Thank you so much. It seems to be that this is a very technical industry. Well, what about for MBA students who have business or management background? What advice do you have for us, and how can we MBAs add value in this particular sector?
So, I mean, as you know, and probably from the IT world, security can be a tough sell. There's things that you can do around security, which you can make money. So security services are very easy. But to generate the business cases sometimes for securing industrial control systems, which definitely needs to be done, can be more difficult. Also, the environment for industrial security is very complex at the moment. So you have government regulations coming in, you have private or segment regulations coming in, you have private companies recognising the need for security, you have the IT players, you have the industrial players, you have the small startups. So being a very complex one, generating the business complex environment, generating the business cases, and also understanding what's going to be most important in 2 to 3 years, 5 years, is something that a lot of the traditional engineering groups don't do so well. And so there's an opportunity there for MBA students, things like that, to really look at where is the market going, where are the key drivers in the market coming from, and potentially how can we shape some of those key drivers to take advantage of them. So it's not just a matter of following, but sometimes it's a matter of trying to shape those drivers so that you can stay ahead of them.
Sure. Thank you very much, David, for coming to the Talk Squad Business.
Right. Thanks, Coby.
Thank you.